Look, I want to talk a little bit about the coverage of everything that Steven Crowder broke. Yes, today, yesterday, news is coming out rapidly, and various news outlets are reacting. Right, that's what we do. I did a video on it. I reacted, streaming about it, reacting. I don't understand some reactions though, and I know that in the past I've been bad about infighting, and I've been petty with Tim, and I regret a lot of that stuff. That doesn't necessarily mean I, don't stand by some of the things I said, but I do feel that sometimes I've lost the bigger picture in that this is kind of why the sane side loses. We're constantly purity testing each other, arguing with each other, and I've definitely fallen for that. But I thought that this response was very odd of the Daily Wire. Now, I do think that Jeremy Boring might have some particular personal feelings about Steven Crowder, and he's entitled to those. If you don't remember it, there were like some personal phone calls between Jeremy Boring and Steven Crowder in which they were discussing some contract negotiations for Steven Crowder to go to the Daily Wire, which I still think would have been an interesting team up. I don't think he necessarily fits the Daily Wire the Daily Wire viewer. I think they're kind of different. There's not a ton of crossover, but I do think that it would have been an interesting team up. That said, he decided to go his own way and he released a phone call between the two. So I completely understand why Jeremy Boring feels this way. Would I have tweeted this on the day when perhaps the most important piece of information in a long time is revealed to us? I don't think so. I think that, ultimately, Daily Wire did cover it, which I wasn't sure if they even were going to cover it. But Jeremy Boring replies and says, Crowder is a dishonest, spiteful, narcissistic scumbag who even in his victories can't help portray most everyone else doing good work in our space, including those who have sued for the release of the documents, like the Tennessee Star, as somehow not sufficiently pure or dedicated or conservative enough. His no true Scotsman shtick is offensive and tired, but credit where credit is due, he landed a huge important scoop here. Now, I watched most of the Steven Crowder stream. I didn't see like any direct critique of the Daily Wire. If I missed it, it's possible that it exists and I missed it. But I do think it's important, as I've grown, again, I've made mistakes. There are certain content creators at the Daily Wire I don't care for. I am absolutely certain there are many people at the Daily Wire who don't care for me. In particular, maybe Matt Walsh, for example, or Candace Owens, for example, because I've been vocal, disagreeing with them. But as I get older now, I look back at some of those spats and I think, wow, what if both of our audiences were working together? What if both of our audiences were working together on this as opposed to, infighting and going back and forth? Again, I think Jeremy Boring's feelings on Steven Crowder are totally valid because Steven Crowder did, again, release a private phone call between them, release contract negotiations. It essentially painted the Daily Wire in an extremely bad light as far as a business. I think that the Daily Wire, what they're doing with Bent Key is extremely important. Giving independent people are giving non-indoctrination content to families and things of that nature is good. Very good thing. It's one thing, for example, to be someone like me who simply sits here and critiques things and whines about things. It's another to go out there and invest the money and actually do it. So all credit to Daily Wire for that. In terms of Crowder, I didn't see any actual shot across the bow at at the Daily Wire at all. And I do suspect these images were probably shopped to somebody else. So somebody says, so you see Savannah Hernandez, by the way, if you're not following her, if you're not following Savannah Hernandez, you should do it. She's one of the best people out there. I mean, I absolutely love the girl. Absolute savage. Actually goes out on the street and does reporting, things of that nature. Her response is, again, this is the pettiest thing I've ever read in my life. Our own FBI suppressed how white American children were targeted. Crowder got the scoop, the nation got clarity, and you chose to rehash some old beef that no one was even thinking about. Sad. I agree. Krigler, what's wrong with you? And then Boring says, so again, unless Crowder included some dig against the Daily Wire in his reporting, I don't grasp the point of this. To which he said he did. I didn't see that. I didn't see that. And a lot of people are saying, can I get a timestamp where he talks about the Daily Wire? Are these digs in the room with us right now? I listened to the free portion of the show for the first time since I canceled back in April. I didn't hear anything about the Daily Wire. You outed yourself again. I mean, I think there's enough to go around here for everybody, don't you think? I mean, the Daily Wire ran a story on it, right? They're probably going to get... Oh, wait, what's happening? What's happening? Oh, it's just that. Okay. So it's the dishonest people. And then he retweeted somebody saying, if you want the entire leak, you have to encourage to leak the whole thing. When you only leak part of it, you're no champion of truth. He writes, why should anyone have to leak it at all? What gives the government the right to withhold it in the first place? That I would agree with. You know, the fact that we don't have it, I mean, we know that historically, with other events of this nature, the musings, the writings were available within 24 hours in some cases. It's been 7 months. And, you know, I'm trying to turn a new leaf. I'm not expecting people at the Daily Wire to take kindly to me covering this, but I'm just trying to say, I'm not sure this song is about you, Jeremy Boring. I understand why you'd be mad. You know, why you'd be extremely mad over, you know, how you feel like he betrayed you in the past. But, you know, meanwhile, while you're tweeting mean things about Crowder, he is now since released. He has brought so many eyes to this. He just released this, right, onto Twitter. 35,000 likes, 11 million impressions. Okay, 37,000 likes now. Elon Musk himself replying, bringing, you know, taking things to another absolute height, another massive level by responding, you know, clearly mentally ill, but also clearly brainwashed into being. This is the story. The story is that those in power, in my opinion, held back this story on purpose. They held back the story because it was, you know, the programming. It portrayed the programming. The rhetoric around, you know, terminology like white privilege. You know, that is, I think Elon boosting it might have also made him mad. That's also a possibility. But why wouldn't he? This is a huge get for Crowder. And if the implication is that Crowder, you know, if Crowder implied other people had this link and chose not to share it, then that's true, right? That's true. Now you're seeing it hitting mainstream news. Here's Channel 4, Critical Mass. You can see mainstream media.
News this noon hour.
So you have actual, you know, I don't know if this is some national news thing, but I mean, once this covers mainstream news, the point here is, okay, the people that are supposed to protect us were protecting the message. That's what this is about. The fact that this person was clearly indoctrinated using, you know, calling people crackers, calling people, you know, going after people's white privilege. This is not everyday language that normal people talk about. This is language that is a part of the system, a part of our government's indoctrination. our indoctrination in the school systems, things of that nature. And this is what needs to happen. We need to force them to parent, the family to release a statement. We need to find out, the question I had, what happened in 2021? Remember, I quote, there were several times I could have been caught, especially in the summer of 2021. That's what I want to know. And again, I have fallen victim to being stupid and infighting. And I'm hoping that Boring deletes this or thinks better of it, because we need the Daily Wire to cover this too. The Daily Wire has a huge audience. This should be wall-to-wall coverage on the Daily Wire about the notes, why it wasn't released. They should be redoubling their efforts on these lawsuits to get them to release this stuff. All of this is how this is, we're supposed to work together. We can whine and complain later, but hopefully the Daily Wire, and it looks like they've covered it. I'm not blaming the Daily Wire. It looks like they've covered it. I'm glad to see Stephen's not getting sucked into that, because it'd just be better for everyone to work together on this, because this is our children. These are kids in the school, and this is our government that work together to protect the message. Absolutely abhorrent. That's who we should be mad at.